I was making these like folk songs and I was playing these shows and I was like sitting down at piano, which I love doing, but it was, I wanted it to be a show, do you know? And I didn't want it just to be me at a piano and everyone kind of standing there being like, just like swaying, you know, for 40 minutes. And as much as I would love to go see someone like that, but I just don't think I did it well. So I think I'm just trying to make a show because I love like a show that like people don't give a, can I curse on this?
I've already cursed so many times.
Okay, perfect. Okay, as in they just don't get. Sorry, just disclaimer. They just don't give a fuck. Like,
oh my god, Tim! Jesus, you can't swear it. Cancel recording.
Yeah,
your invoice just got dropped. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh fuck. Oh, there I said it again.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Finnterviews. I'm your host Connor Finn, and this is a show where I get to chat to the most Finteresting people I know. You know that by now, I know that by now, and if you don't know that by now, go listen to some old episodes, there's loads of them. Anyways, on the show this week, I was beyond delighted to listen to one of my favourite artists at the moment. It was of course the Irish singer and songwriter Tim Chadwick. We spoke all about Tim's late bloom into music, his journey finding his voice in sad bangers, interviews with Graham Norton, hitting 1 million streams on his singles, and learning not to care about the industry but to just follow his passion. Tim was an absolute pleasure to interview. I had no doubt he would be, and he was just really down to earth. And I think kind of put the music industry and how someone who I would see as being amazing just into really ordinary boxes, which is always nice to know that we're all just humans. Yeah, I was so excited to record this podcast and it did not fail to meet my expectations. So hopefully it won't fail to meet yours. So without further ado, please enjoy this latest episode of Finnterviews with the wonderful Tim Chadwick. Well, welcome back to another episode of Finnterviews. On the show this week, I am thrilled to welcome on a Friday evening, nonetheless. I mean, God, we just got out of the rain, crazy. God, how are we feeling? It is, of course, sorry, that's the worst intro in the world. Sorry, how I'm actually talking to today is the wonderful Tim Chadwick. How's it going, Tim?
Hello, Connor. How are you? You nailed it. You absolutely nailed it.
I think I fucked it up. I'm sorry.
You did. No, you absolutely. People love the weather. People love the weather.
Yeah, it's so relatable content. I was just explaining there beforehand that this is like I've managed to like squeeze like 3 interviews today, and I usually try to like, you know, give all of my everything in each interview. So like I'm just so cautious that I'm just going to be like a boring wee bitch in this one. So I will be letting you do all the talking. Don't be worrying, Tim.
Impossible. It'll be great.
But how are we getting on anyways? You're over at London at the moment. You've been living it up.
Yeah. So I just got to London 2 weeks ago. I'm actually here today, 2 weeks. And I'm doing some writing and just like meetings and just kind of get myself out there a bit more. I mean, it's been, as you know yourself, the longest almost 2 years of like not really doing anything. So yeah, I just kind of bit the bullet and I was like, do you know what? I'm fully vaxxed. All my friends are fully vaxxed. All the writers I work with are fully vaxxed. So I was like, I may as well just go over and start writing because for the next kind of EP or the next project. So I'm loving it. I'm loving just kind of actually doing things for the first time in what seems like forever.
I mean, you're saying like, oh yeah, you know, Finnterviews really easy. Like, this is my first time doing it. Like, you did also release out, you know, self-titled EP. That's been fucking, sorry. I was trying to like read through, be like, oh, just want to like make sure there's, you know, maybe some like undercurrents in here, like find out a little bit more about it, blah, blah, like this. The reviews literally raving. Like, everybody's been like, Tim fucking Chadwick, my God, Timmy, eat it up, boy. Like, you've been saying,
I just
like,
paid them loads. Loads of money to say that.
Yeah, I mean, but you're saying like over last year, obviously it's been a bit quiet, but like, my God, it doesn't seem like you've been stopping much, like at all. Jesus.
Yeah, I know it's weird because like normally when you release, you have then the whole live aspect of it, and it's kind of like 50-50, whereas it was kind of just 100% online content. Do you know? So it just felt a bit not that I felt lazy. I just felt a bit like, have I been doing enough? But yeah, I guess releasing in itself is like the most amazing thing, but also the most exhausting. So for the last couple of months, I actually just kind of took a bit of a break. But yeah, like last year, like releasing and the start of this year was like really busy. And then took a break, and now I'm back at it again to like go make another one.
Back at it again. Jesus.
Back at it again. I know. So yeah, I really can't complain. I'm good. I'm like really good.
Yeah, yeah. And I suppose, sorry, I just presume that, like, obviously, like, if people are like finding this, you know, podcast or whatever, like, it's like, I just presume that people know the guests or whatever, because I'm like obsessed with like everybody that I bring on to the show. But like, I suppose very briefly, I mean, for the rare occasion, you know, somebody hasn't heard, you know, or doesn't know who Tim Chadwick is, embarrassing. But like, maybe tell us a bit about yourself, you know, where you're from, like kind of what you're known for, I suppose, your background.
Yeah. So I am a singer-songwriter artist from Dublin, and I have, I guess, I started off as kind of like a folk singer-songwriter, like me and my guitar. It was very folk kind of driven, like, you know, piano, you know, a couple of strings, the usual Irish kind of singer-songwriter who, I mean, we do very well. I mean, we're great at storytelling, and we love a good male Irish singer-songwriter. And then over the kind of last, I guess, 2 or 3 years, I just started to, I think, reflect in my music, the music that I make, kind of reflect what I was listening to. There was a weird kind of disconnect between the music I was making and the music I was listening to. And I was always like, I really want to make pop music, but I don't, you know, really know how. I like a lot of my melodies were kind of pop, you know, twinged with pop.
Yeah.
But the production was kind of just, it just still sat in that singer-songwriter world. So yeah, over the last kind of 2 or 3 years, I've just been honing in on, you know, what it means for, I guess, me to make pop music. I guess everyone tries to put their spin on it. So yeah, I feel like I'm getting there. I feel really comfortable where I am now, but not so much that there's not room to grow, you know?
Yeah.
So the last EP, the self-titled Timothy, was kind of, it felt like the first time, it's my second EP release, and the first one was folk, and this one I feel like is a bit of more of a reintroduction to the artist that I want to be. So yeah, and so it's just been a couple of years of just grafting and playing as many shows as possible, doing cool things like this, a lot of writing, and yeah, just trying to get my name out there. Just being that annoying person who we just send constant emails to everyone, being like, "Hey, please give me a chance." I guess what you just have to do. It's what you have to do.
I mean, I feel like you're underplaying it a wee bit here. Like, I mean, over 1 million streams on kind of Spotify. I mean, that's not like, you know, a small feat to fucking get to. And like the likes of supporting, you know, people like Mabel, like Hudson Taylor, do you know what I mean? Like Billy Lockett, like buddy, you're doing good.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Again, I think it's a stereotypical, I don't know if it's an Irish thing or maybe just an artist thing to be like, oh yeah, that was cool. Like when someone tells you, you're like, oh yeah, that was cool, because we're constantly just thinking of the next, like what can I do better, and what can I do next, and if something goes well, if something goes well, and you know, either, you know, Spotify shows you some love, or radio, you're constantly like, okay, well, how do I top that, and how do I like, that's not good enough, as in. So yeah, thank you for saying that means a lot.
And I get it. I mean, you're looking for the next big thing. That's why we're here today, honestly.
Yeah,
like, we're just talking about, like, some of the other, do you know what I mean? Some low-lying fruit you had to, like, some other podcast had to go on first. But, like, you're fine. You made it here, honestly. Literally.
It was the warm-up. It was the warm-up for this one.
Absolutely. I hear that all the time. Actually, a lot of people tend to come on this show, and they, you know, peak is often a term associated with this. But, like, I've never said it. Not me.
Yeah,
so I don't
that's
know.
That's just what the reviews say.
Yeah, that's what they say. I mean, yeah, they come.
It's just math. It's just math.
It's from my account, the reviews, but like it's still review. But no, like as I said, I mean, you've been doing so well with all your songs, and like I suppose essentially with what you were explaining there about like how your style and all came around. I mean, sorry, I love just like the way you fully like. Taking on board this, like, what is your genre of music? Because I was trying to pin it down earlier, and I was being like, you know, like, I need to know, you know, bop, whatever, like this, and then one of the other ones, you know, like Belong as being like one of those like songs that, like, you know, you take a wee deep breath in at the end of it so you don't cry. Like, even like Only Me and stuff, like, do you know what I mean? Like, there's like I feel like it goes through rings and swings and roundabouts, like, but it's it's the self like sad bangers. It's truly like I love that you've just like completely owned that, like merchandise it and everything, be like, guys, they're sad bangers.
They are, and like I'm like so happy that like the response to it was great, because I was like, I have a real, like, just personally, I have a real issue with just splashing my name on things, and I was like,
Mm,
I wouldn't wear a jumper that said Tim Chadwick, so
mm,
like why would I try and sell one?
mm,
So I just try to, I guess, try to make the music accessible, but also try to make, I guess, like the brand accessible.
mm,
And I mean, I'm not the first person to make a sad banger. I think people like Robin and stuff like that, they've been doing it for years.
mm.
But yeah, I just love pop music that has like hard hitting sad lyrics. I mean, that's just, to me, is very cathartic and very pleasing to be like, oh my god, yeah, this is like, I'm moving to this, but I think I'm also about to cry as well, and that's just, and that's just my, that's just my outlet. Like I love that, because I kind of like, I love happy and sad things. So
I'm depressed, but I'm grooving. Yeah.
yeah. We're driving.
We're driving. Yeah.
Yeah. It just makes it easier. It just makes it, like, the whole process easier to be like, I'm definitely sad, but hey, I'm out with my friends and
Yeah.
I'm like sweating along to a Robin song. And also, yeah, I think, again, going back to like where I was before, I was making these like folk songs and I was playing these shows, and I was like sitting down at piano, which I love doing, but it
Mm,
was, I wanted it to be a show, do you know? And I didn't want it
mm,
just to be me at a piano and everyone kind of standing there being like, just like swaying,
mm,
for 40 minutes.
mm,
And as much as I would love to go see someone like that, but I just don't think I
mm.
did it well. So I think I'm just trying to make a show, because I love like a show that
Yeah.
like people don't give a, can I curse on this? Can I curse on
I've
this
already
podcast?
cursed so many times on
Okay,
it.
perfect.
Like,
Okay, as in they just don't get. They just, sorry, to just disclaimer. They just don't give a fuck. Like
oh my
those
god,
someone.
Tim! Jesus, you can't swear it. Cancel
Uh,
recording.
yeah,
Your invoice just got dropped. Yeah.
yeah. Oh fuck. Oh, there, I said it again. But yeah, I just love a show that people can go in and like, just like for 40 minutes or an hour or whatever, just not give a fuck if anyone's looking at them, like let loose. Because that's kind of what it should be, you
Yeah.
know. And I just feel like I wasn't doing myself or like I was doing myself a misjustice, is that the right word? But like,
Disfavor. I know the one that you
yeah,
said.
yeah, I just, a disservice is the word I was
Ah,
looking for.
ew, there you go.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I just felt like something was wrong with me just sitting and playing guitar or playing piano. So yeah, I'm creating a show of sad bangers. That's the goal. That's the
I
goal.
love I love it so much, honestly. And I feel like essentially like over last year as well, like as you're saying there, like if people, get an opportunity to chat about their stuff, whatever like this, I just be like, thanks so much for coming
Mhm.
on. But like I suppose like it's even like with your TikToks and stuff as well, like oh my
Oh
god, like
god, oh
it.
god, oh
Oh
god.
no! I have a background to this. So, one of my first musicians that I ever had on to the show was Leisha. So,
My
and
good pal.
yeah, but like hearing like obviously hers was like gravy, talk about like find love, whatever like this, and then on the flip side, I was be like, oh my god, Tim Chadwick, yeah, it's so good. I was like, bit different, different vibe. She's like fucking
Oh
Ireland,
my
living up her
god.
best. I've just be like, I just found myself, and I was be like, is Tim okay? Like, I mean, he's doing well, but like, is he okay?
Oh my god. Oh my god. Yeah. Oh, am I doing okay? It's a very good question, Connor. Oh my god, yeah. Love Leisha. Love Leisha.
But I suppose as well, like from all this, kind of you were mentioning, you start off obviously kind of folk traditional, well, like not traditional, but like classic kind of art, folk singer
Mhm.
songwriter, whatever like this, piano, keeping it easy, keeping it classic, like was I suppose really like music in a whole sense term, like because obviously the last couple of years have been such a trajectory for yourself from, as I said, different people that you performed with, like you coming into your own, as you said, like as a real artist, like, and discovering like a sound that you're really banging with,
Mhm.
sad banging with.
Mhm. Mhm.
Oh, that sounds weird.
Nice.
But
Nice.
like, when did you first kind of get into this whole like area of like music and performance? Like, was it something that
Mhm.
you always kind of gravitated towards, or like was there ever like potentially another path in mind? Was there another lifespan where Tim was going to be like a dentist or something?
An,
I don't know.
an accountant or something. Yeah. I mean, I'd say my parents probably wish that I was more down that route, but um no, I've like, I mean, again, another stereotypical answer, but like I feel like a lot of musicians, it's always kind of been there.
Mm,
Um I don't feel like you kind of get to, I don't know, like 30 or 35 or 40, whatever, and being like, I'm going to pick up the piano and become a musician. So yeah, I think I just kind of always gravitated towards it. I mean, I know it's a shock, but I wasn't very sporty. So I needed some sort of outlet. I needed some
Preaching
sort
to
of
the choir. Preaching to the choir.
yeah. It just wasn't really my vibe. Just found it a bit tough. Anyway, so it's tough when you're picked last every single time. Anyway, I digress. So I just kind of gravitated towards it, and whenever I was given an opportunity in school to like perform at like talent shows, or even it's just like pick up a guitar, I just raised my hand. I guess that was just my kind of avenue. It's like, I don't know, and then I was kind of like, well, this feels right. Like I'm okay at this. And then I think at around like 15, 16, I just kind of started like journaling and like writing songs down. And even if I didn't even know if they were songs, but they were just like thoughts that were like scrambled. And and then I just kind of was like, oh, okay, I can write a song, and like it goes from A to Z, and like I can do all that. But it wasn't until I'd say, I was like maybe 2021 that I was like starting to play gigs. And then I know it sounds, I'm kind of skipping over loads of years, but it just kind of happened then, as in I just kind of, started to record and network and meet industry people, and they gave me their like advice and all this kind of stuff, and they helped me along the way. And then it, like, the only thing that I would say was probably unanticipated was that I made a career out of it. To me, it was always a hobby. And like to this day, like as in my full-time job as a musician, which a couple of years ago I thought was completely impossible. So yeah, it's kind of like unintentionally it became like my hobby became my passion, and then my passion became my job, which I think is just a very fortunate turn of events. And I think it's just kind of, how do I move on from that? Like, as in, I never wanted to feel like a job first and then have no passion behind it. So it's about still kind of not saying yes to everything and saying no to some things, and just doing what serves me. And that's kind of where I'm at. It started very naturally, and I feel like I'm just trying to maintain that natural kind of flow.
I suppose it's always like quite interesting for somebody, I suppose, that's like outside the whole like realm of like the music industry and stuff like that, to be like seeing how people, as artists, like develop and like how they get on and stuff like this. And I still do love that, like every single time that I've asked this, like, being like, oh yeah, like how'd you get into it? Like nobody has a straight answer. It's the exact same with like, anything that's like partially creative. Do you know what I mean? Like even like my kind of like, I got a media background and stuff like that, and like people would be like, yeah, oh yeah, how'd you get into this? Like, and everybody's just shrugging their shoulders, go like, I'm fucking it.
I just think we're kind of just like, okay, well that worked, so I'll do this, and that went well, so I'll do this. And like, because there's no real like designed path to follow. Like, there's no exam to do. I obviously know at university, yes, obviously there's exams, but like creativity in the creative industry is just so kind of, you just figure it out. You make loads of mistakes, you like embarrass yourself, you make crap songs, or you make you make bad stuff, and then you make a good thing, and then that kind of elevates you a bit, and then you just like, I just feel like that just is going to keep happening. I don't think there's no real structure to it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're not to do bad at the moment, as I was saying. They're like, and I feel like with being in like an industry that's so competitive, and so half the time, like so many people like are trying to constantly be fighting each other, try to like get to, it seems like quite intense, like, but like you seem to just be like enjoying the kind of ride, be like, yeah, I mean, we're working our way through it. I mean, just writing some songs, just playing some instruments, you're fine.
just taking it easy. Again, I think a couple of years ago I used to be so like, oh god, like I have to be the best, and like I have to beat everyone to the post, and I'm just kind of like, that again just didn't fulfill me. I just like, all you're doing is like, you should only be ever competing against yourself. The second, what's that like expression, like comparison is the thief of joy. Like that's genuinely, in the last year I've just turned that into my mantra. As in, I used to be so like, oh, how come I didn't get that? Or like, what am I doing wrong? No one's doing anything right. As in, it's just like, people just get what they're meant to be given at the right time, and that's just kind of where I'm at. I'm just taking it chill because I know if I stress myself out, I'll make something that's really crap. I won't be happy with it. So what's the point in rushing? Like,
Exactly. Exactly. And I suppose like
it sounds like I've taken a Xanax before this, but I haven't. I'm just genuine. I'm just genuine. I'm so chill.
I'm just so chill today. You guys are so fun. No, don't be worried at all. No, this is much better. As I mean, you're being relaxed. That means that I'm in some way not making you fucking freak the shit out. Where it's like is you know,
absolutely
it's delightful. Usually, yeah, people just like they run away. Like they're being like, Jesus, that's what we're zooming on with today. But like, but I suppose like before this life, you know, in music and performing, you know, all the rest of it. Like I'm always interested in maybe the kind of jobs that like, you know, inform the kind of person that you are today, you know, built up that kind of grit, you know, that kind of like things that, you know, you need some life kind of experience to like come in and make the kind of songs that you do as well that like let you get you going like he's talking to my soul. But like I don't know if you've had any, you know, character building jobs, I suppose, growing up that maybe I suppose whenever you're moving into this kind of career music and stuff that you're being like, okay, this is, you know, get me a bit of grind and I know how to say fuck that. Or like, you know, give you kind of like a bit of depth. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, like, as I'm sure you know, music is, or any creative job is never really obviously well paid at the beginning. So I worked any kind of job that I possibly could. I mean, I stocked shelves in Super Value.
Ooh.
I worked, I mean, yeah, I was pretty good at it. I like did coffee shop jobs. I did like deli jobs. Just anything that gave me a bit of cash so that I could pump that back into music. And now it's great because now music allows me to pump money back into music. So it's nice. But I've also, I mean, I want to like drive it home that I think there should be like some sort of mandatory rule that everybody needs to work in the service industry for at least 6 months to 1 year.
Oh,
because
it should be like actual, you know, like the TUI year. Just go work in service. Like I feel like that is like, because that is, I swear to God, like that informs, like you just get an informative of the entire ecosystem, community, socioeconomic battle of the world that you live in, and then you go like, okay, this that little, you know, sheltered life, boom.
And I also just think it gives you a really good social skill of being able to read someone quite quickly by their body, like by everything, like body language, tone, and it just gives you so much patience as well to be like, no, it's all worth it, I love my job, I love my job. But like, yeah, I just I mean, like, look, I hated my jobs, but they opened, or they allowed me to do a lot of things.
Character building,
and I feel like I also wouldn't be the person I am today if it wasn't for them, because it just taught me like perseverance and like also skills and just general human kindness. Because as we all know, there are just some awful people out there. But then it's so reassuring when you like meet nice people that you're like, okay, yes. And like the amount of times that like if I meet someone, I'm like, oh, I know that you're kind to the person who makes you coffee. Do you know?
Yeah.
And I was the person that made people coffee. And then I'm also like, oh, you're the kind of person who wouldn't say please or thank you, and you would just walk away. You know? So
they'd be the ones that like would snap and stuff. The thing.
Oh yeah. Or like, yeah, I don't know, or send things back and stuff like that don't need to be sent back. Anyway, I feel like people like it gives you a good kind of eye to like navigate people, because I mean we're all pretty much the same, like every kind of person is out there and they're in the music industry. So it's been good to like, you know, give me a bit of confidence in like being able to talk to people and being able to like just stand my ground, and then also be like, okay, well, these jobs aren't forever and I have a passion, and then move on. Like I think that's really good. It's good to like, I think before I used to think, oh God, like, does me working here mean that I won't be able to be successful? And like, also a lot of those jobs, the people in there are successful at their jobs. It was just like, I wanted more. And it just means that like, if your job isn't making you happy, it's not forever. Just do it, earn the money, and then go and do something that you like. And that's just kind of what I found helped me be like, it's not forever. You know, you have the power to change. Like you can do whatever you want. So yeah, but definitely character building.
Yeah, I feel like It gives you perseverance, if anything. Jesus Christ. If you can, like, you know, survive, you know, doing like, you know, catering or like working in any kind of public kind of space, like dealing with general public. Oh my, yeah. Like, I remember the last day of my last, actually, that's such a lie. It was last day I was in a cafe for like 3 years, and like I was getting like my first like little menial job, and literally on the last day, but it did a big breakfast rush, whatever like this, as the only one in the place trying to clean up. And a woman came in and I was like, so sorry, like, just, I mean, we're actually like just cleaning up for next week, like half hour, we're changing over menus, blah, blah, like this. Last day, like, I think I got like the killer out of it. Her child in hand, both goes like, I was like, sorry, I don't have a table for you at the moment. She's like, you can go shove a table up your, like, imagine a real fake fucking, and I was just be like, I think this is my time to leave. I was literally be like, if this isn't a sign, I feel like, yeah. But being a server, I pop that table right up there.
Oh yeah. But you reach a point where you're like, okay, I've reached my peak level of patience with people, because oh my god, you would people are the worst.
I think when I got to the stage where I was being like, I actually was like disliking people like without meeting them. I was like, okay, this is bad. This is me literally being like, this is bad for my own personal development, where I'm like 19, 20 being like, fuck off.
It's time to go. It's time to go. It's time. Yeah, when you start hating everybody, it's definitely time to go.
Yeah. But I mean, jobs and stuff like this, big things I suppose have informed the person that you are today and kind of give you that growth as well. In, you know, big musicians that they are, woo, woo, woo. Like, have there been any major standout moments that kind of came in this, you know, more creative kind of life, creative sector that, like, suppose you never thought could happen before, like, kind of pinch me moments? Like, are there any big, like, I mean, any big, you know, gigs that you've done that you've been like, oh shit, this is like my life?
Yeah. There has been a few, and like, again, it's only once, like, you know, when I get asked a question like this, I'm like, oh yeah, that was cool, because I quite gloss over quite quickly. But I remember playing, I played up in C sessions up in, I think I Need to Know had just come out that summer. And I don't really like, as in, my manager looks at, like, you know, statistics and how things are going and numbers and stuff like that. And I was just like, he was just telling me it's going really well, and everyone was like, it's doing really well. And then it was only that, like, when I played that show, it was like the first kind of show I think they did, like, after the release, and like people were there, and like they were singing, and like it was the show that I wanted to create. And it was like a festival, which is sometimes weird, because obviously there's so many good acts going on at the same time, that, like, if people don't make it to your show, it's not really a personal, you know, it's not that they don't like you, it's just they want to see someone else, you know. And it was like, and it was full, and I was like, oh my god, I was like, what's going on here? And it was only coming to, like, I think it was like probably one of my favorite shows. And then I did a headline show a couple of months later, and that sold out. And I was like, oh my god, like, people actually give a shit, you know, as in, like, I give a shit, but I don't really expect everyone else to, you know. So when I see that kind of, like, physical, like, manifestation of, like, I guess the effort that I put in and the work I put in, I'm a bit like, oh god, like, okay, maybe I'm doing something. And like some of, like, the room also isn't just full of family and friends doing me a favor, it's like full with strangers who just, like, happen to come across my music. So that always feels really good. And it's a bit kind of like, and look, as I'm sure you know, you've talked to other artists, there's so many points in music and, like, the career that you're just like, oh, like, just a dip or like a lull, and you're like, oh, is this worth the effort? And then you have a night like that, and you're like, I love music. It just kind of, like, reinvigorates everything all over again. And then I think the kind of this year's pinch me moment was when I released the EP, and then Graham Norton played it on his show in the UK, and then, like, sent me a lovely message. And I think he's just a fantastic interviewer. I've always just kind of watched him on TV, and I just really enjoy his, like, humor and his just ease and stuff.
Love him.
And I was like, oh, like, I was like, well, that's nice. Do you know, as in, like, that's kind of a, like, a couple of years ago would never have thought that.
That's quirky.
Yeah. I was like, oh, that's cool. So yeah, that's been really nice. And then there's been loads, but those are kind of the couple that really stand out, definitely in the last kind of 2 years.
Yeah, and I suppose, like, as well, like, I mean, have you found it as well, like, being within the industry that is, I suppose, like, the art industry in itself, like, I mean, everybody seems to be so supportive of each other and stuff like this, but, like, also being, like, a queer artist as well, like, I mean, I suppose it's kind of because I was talking to Bobby Arlo actually earlier kind of about this as well, and like just kind of like around her experience. Like, do you find that there is like ever kind of like you're forced into kind of like being like a voice kind of for someone, or like kind of like a certain generation, or like has that like been a thing that's just kind of came along really like nicely along the side where you've been like, oh sweet, like, and take that on board? Or is it like, have you found that like anything like that has kind of came with it as well, that like unexpectedly?
Yeah, like I remember not that I never wanted to say I was a gay musician, because of that fact that I didn't want people to be like, okay, well then here's the face and the voice of it, because I'm not. Like, I also don't think that like me being gay is like a brand that can be marketed to people to consume, because that's not what it is. As in, I'm an artist. I'm an artist that makes music, and I like put that out into the world for people to consume. I don't put out the fact that I'm gay for people to like, you know. And so that I find a bit weird.
It's like that TikTok during Pride. Hi, gay.
Oh, hi, gay. Oh my god, yeah. Here at the butter shop. I love that. Oh my god, yeah. We love gay. We love
Sashay
gay.
over to you. Great deal today. Puts a house down, hunting. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Very much that. And yeah, and again, I just don't want, you know, I don't want people to look at me and be like, oh, like he's getting something else because he's gay. Do you know? As in, sometimes it is a bit tokenized, do you know? And that is also something that I kind of struggle with as well, to be like, am I getting this because they like my music, or is it just because they needed a gay person to be like, you know, as in, and that is sometimes like the struggle. Now I try and just bat it off and be like, no, it's because they're interested in what I'm doing in general. But yeah, there is like I said, I just find it, I think queer music is amazing, and those voices need to be heard, and people need to hear about, you know, men talking about men and women talking about women and non-binary talking about non-binary. Like, people need to hear those stories, because believe it or not, that's just the world we live in, and they should live.
Horror,
yeah, shock.
honestly.
I know, yeah, I know.
Somebody
In case your listeners weren't ready to hear that, there are non-binary and gay people and trans people out there. But you know, like those stories need to be told, but also you can't. I don't think you can market that as because activists are telling those stories, and like people in the queer community outside of music are telling those stories. It's not a musician's job solely to do that, you know.
No,
I think their experiences just need to be put into a song, and that just kind of needs to be left at that, I think. And look, I really look up to a lot of queer artists as well. I think I just find it difficult for someone to look up to me in that sense, because I'm also not breaking boundaries in what I'm talking about. Like, I'm a white gay man, like, as in, like George Michael was doing that, all right. Like, do you know, as in,
yeah,
I'm not a Renaissance kind of like, oh my god, like look at him go. I'm just a gay man talking about gay shit. You know, I'm putting it into a pop song. I just don't think that's worthy of like a pedestal. Do you know?
Yeah, no, that's literally like I started this podcast as well as being like, people being like, where are you going to do it? And I was being like, well, I'm another white guy on a fucking podcast. It's like, I mean,
I know, yeah,
it's crazy.
Wow. Yeah. Oh my
but
god,
I sort of like, no,
gonna,
yeah, it'd be really fun, I swear.
People are gonna cancel me. I'm just so different, like I'm so out there. Yeah, I know. But yeah, I think that's just how I feel about it.
Yeah, like, but like, I mean, that's fair. Like, I mean, and I think, like, personally, do you know what I mean? Like, I think it's like so important as well. Like, I mean, like, hearing your stuff as well. Like, as I said, like, having those kind of representations, like, anybody, I don't think, like, yeah, it doesn't really need to, you know, relate to anything particular. Like, just, again, if it's like when you watch a movie and then when they try to, like, make it like the storyline is literally all about their sexuality, you're being like, no, there's like more to a person here. And then whenever it's presented like that, being like, oh, here's somebody doing their life, and then also here's a other stringent of it. That's more what I want from kind of representation, like, where it's not being tokenized and, you know, rainbow washed in the same way. Like that, I suppose.
Exactly, yeah. I think you should be sold an artist, and then if you, I don't know, you shouldn't be sold they're gay, do you know? And like, I don't know, I think that's just, sometimes I just feel it's a bit forced. And yeah, I don't know, I just feel like sometimes it's a bit forced, and I just like being like, oh yeah, I'm just an artist who happens to be gay, do you know?
Yeah. Well, I suppose,
hi gay.
Hi
Hi gay.
No, like, I was wondering, like, as well, I suppose on top of this, I suppose I suppose. Have there been, from, you know, the huge kind of concert stuff that you've done as well, and like everything from, you know, Graham Norton, and being recognized for something that, like, again, you are just really happy to be like in this kind of industry and being able to perform like a passion that you do. Have there been any, I suppose, kind of horror stories that came from this? Like any kind of like, because it doesn't seem like it all from the outside, but like, has there been any kind of like things going into this now that you're being like, oh wow, that was a unexpected little you know, shadow that I didn't expect to see on it?
That, like, look, I think this is it, like a general thing for anybody. Like the amount of like no's that I get, and the amount of no's that like other artists get, that like it's not good enough, or not yet, or it's too soon, or too late. Like we get them every like pretty much every week. But like people will never see that, and like we just kind of have to swallow that and be like, okay, move on to the next thing. So like I think people see the, like, again, it's the whole social media thing. People see the highlights, but they never see the like disappointment part of it, really. So I've gotten plenty of no's that like people would never know about, that like I maybe had nearly almost had something and then didn't, and like that's just kind of like, I guess it's the industry we're in. It's also, I think, a normal human thing to, like, you know, there's just loads of different disappointments in your career that people will never like ever understand, but you just kind of have to like move on from them, as in like just obviously wasn't meant to be. I would say the only horror story that I had, this is the goss, was I was at like an industry thing, and essentially someone like just came up and talked. Actually, no, I went up and talked to them because I knew them from before, and like from a past business interaction, I would say. And they were like, oh yeah, like, yeah, your song has done well. And I was like, oh yeah, like, thank you very much, like I'm really happy with it.
Yeah.
And they were like, but you know, nothing else kind of since then has been great, so like you should probably give up. And they were like, if you haven't got it by now, you should probably just hang in the tail. And like I honestly, like, I think it's the first time that I've ever kind of stood there and been gobsmacked that I actually didn't know what to say, and I just said, okay, thanks, bye. I just said, okay, thanks, bye. And it's just I just found that so like what does that achieve? Like that that achieves absolutely nothing. And I think I think there's just so many people out there who have been like broken down by the industry that they're in, but they continue to create like a toxic environment that really doesn't let anyone actually either think for themselves or like create for themselves. And it just, all it kind of does is like make music this sort of like impossible dream that can never happen. And like, look, I'm not looking to be Justin Bieber. I'm looking just to be a successful musician and songwriter. And it's this whole thing that I think he was trying to sell the idea that you'll never be famous. And I was like, who said I wanted to be famous? I want to be successful. And I think those two things are very different. And I was just gobsmacked that I was like, oh, this industry can be really shitty, like really shitty. And obviously I didn't quit. Like this was years ago. But it was at a networking event to like promote music. And I was like, why are you here?
Literally. Here? Just like walk around to people, I love your work. You should quit.
But also, you should probably,
you should give up.
Go back to the coffee shop job.
Tactical at the same time. Like, I love it, really. You're doing so well. Peak.
It was the biggest, it was the biggest backhanded. It was the biggest backhanded compliment I've ever got in my entire life. That like Jesus. He like built me up and then just like tore the rug out from underneath me. And it did knock me a bit. Like I remember going home being like super upset because I was like, oh well, here's this person that I think is like the gatekeeper to me being successful. They weren't. They're like, as in, there is gatekeepers out there, but like not everyone is gonna like.
Not everybody needs a gate. Do you know what I mean?
or not. They think they're gatekeepers and they're actually not. It's just people like. I don't know if I'm gonna say it anyway. It's just swinging their dicks essentially. That's all they're doing. So yeah, and there's just so many.
Tim, let loose.
Beep all that. But that is what like the industry is, and if you listen to it, like you'll get sucked in. So going back to what I said, like I think this is kind of just the mentality that I'm getting into. That like if I'm not like it's the passion that like drives it, and like it gives me so much like work satisfaction that I'm like, if I'm enjoying it, I actually really don't care anymore. But
Yeah.
like someone has to say like it's almost more embarrassing for them to have said something like that, because
Mm.
like I don't know, just I'm not bitter. I got better.
Anyway, Sam Smith, we just called you out. Oh
Oh
my
yeah,
god.
yeah,
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 jeez, I'm gonna get cancelled by everybody. Oh fuck it.
yeah. It wasn't them, by the way.
I'm like blink once, blink twice. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'll run through some names that could potentially be in your circle, and
No.
just you need to say, you just don't say anything. It's a podcast. Yeah, just give me one of
Okay,
those. Okay, but I suppose, I mean, moving on from that, like
Mhm.
from, I mean, coffee shop, working around to, find your own voice in what has been one of the most fucking dirtiest years, like, in anybody's been doing. Do you know what I mean? Anybody that's been able to just come through this and be like, I think I'm actually, like, survived that one. Like, you're winning, literally, like, and for
Yeah.
you to be doing so well with all your own
Oh,
stuff,
thank
and
you.
like,
Thank
honestly,
you.
I've been fucking loving the album. Well, album EP, I call them albums because I'm be like, oh,
Yeah, it's a
baby
mini album.
Yeah,
It's a
baby
it's a
album.
mini album.
Yeah.
Come on.
But like, what does the future kind of hold for yourself, Tim? I know you're saying you're writing stuff, but like, are there any big like goals like you want to achieve, or any big bucket list things that like you haven't done yet? Like, where is the next kind of big like, woo?
Yeah. So at the moment, I mean, this feels a bit bold to say because it's not actually a thing
Go
yet.
on, be
But like,
cheeky. It's a Friday.
no,
So.
yeah, I know, go wild. No, it's I think I am writing for an album, like a full length album, like my first one. But I think, yeah, I know, terrifying. But and I also just want to do it right, so I'm not going to rush it either. But that's kind of the bigger goal. There is songs that are like that will definitely be in it, and I think I'm just trying to like figure out myself what I want that first, I guess, introduction is. And I like obviously I have all the EPs before and other singles and stuff like that, but the album is like, as you know yourself, it's the special one. It's like it's your first album. I just want to make sure that I do it right. So that's kind of the the bigger picture. That's what I'm working towards. But in between then it's just going to be a lot of writing and a lot of just like pushing the boundaries a bit and just working with other writers as well. I'm really comfortable writing with myself, but I've also love and like have found such satisfaction in working with other people and just helping them bring out the best in me. So that's kind of the plan. Like I'm in London now. I think there's a couple of trips for America to do the same sort of thing. Just just like writing again and just meeting people and different producers. So I think for the next year it's going to be back and forth of just doing that. And to be honest, I think there will be another EP next year as well. So that's kind of something I'm working towards. And then obviously I have a headline show coming up on the 14th of December, if COVID doesn't ruin it again for me. And that's in Whelan's in Dublin. I just hope that doesn't get cancelled again, because my heart can't take the pain, anymore. Just more shows. And I mean, once the world starts to open back up again, I think I can't wait to just like bring everything I've done to the stage again, because I released an EP and then never got to perform it. And that's a tiny little fiddle playing a violin for me, because there's people who've released albums that they haven't got to tour. But yeah, I really want to bring it to the stage,
to the masses, to the people,
to the masses.
The crowds. No, but like, I mean, literally, like, I mean, all that I really want now, Tim, is, I mean, more Arrested Development kind of references and songs. Like that's I mean, if you can pull an album out of that, I will be dying.
Okay, I'll try my best. They make me just want to light myself on fire.
Like literally, I was being like, that is truly stunning. It's like, I don't know if you've heard like this recent song by these ones. Oh my god, it's called like Chaise Long or whatever. But like, they're like, the song's be like, would you like me to sign something to butter your muffin? Like, it's literally the whole song's basically like Mean Girls quotes, and I was like, more of this. Like, come on, guys.
Oh, I love
Jesus.
it. I love it.
Eat it up.
Yeah. I absolutely love it.
Just before we go, I do want to do a real quick, and we'll do other plugs and stuff like that, but I do want to do a real quick word association game. Now, I've been just writing down some little keywords, things like this have been mentioned out. So I wonder, would you be up for it? It's literally just like first impression.
Okay. I'm absolutely up for it. I'm just nervous. but
No,
excited.
there's nothing to worry about. It's fine. Just like don't say anything you regret. Oh shit. Okay, so we're gonna do this. It's whatever pops your mind first. Don't think about it too much. Just like instant reaction. Already.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Here we go. Now, first one. Dublin.
Best city in the world.
Oh, London.
Terrifying.
Service industry.
Needed.
C sessions.
Awakening.
Oh, the Graham Norton show.
Terrifying.
Gatekeepers.
Unnecessary.
Timothy.
Hi, gay.
I was like, it's either gonna be that or like Chalamet. And
Yeah. Oh my god, yeah. Oh yeah.
And I mean, Finnterviews.
Oh, is that a word?
That's the name of the fucking show.
No, is it? No, is it? Is that
Yeah.
the next word association? Best Friday in a long time.
My God. We made it through.
We
I
made it
hate
through.
doing it,
We
but
made
I
I
it
love
through.
doing it at the end. Like, because they always like, they hear the interviews and you just see the like guest eyes roll back their head like, oh, fuck. But great, yeah.
I more so thought that you were, ending the podcast being like,
No.
there's been Finnterviews, and I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm that abrupt. I'd be like, where's the association?
Yeah. Close laptop.
No, honestly, here, Tim, thanks so much. I realized that I've ripped
thank
absolutely
you.
arse out of this interview. I mean,
Oh my God, not
we've
at all.
deep dived
Loved it.
through it all, but I mean, I've been delighted to have you on. If people have, in the rare occasion, found you coming through me, where can they, keep up to date with everything that is Tim Chadwick? What's the best place to find you? Support, like, do all that stuff.
Yeah, so on Spotify and like Apple and any kind of streaming site, it's just Tim Chadwick. That's my full name. Instagram, Tim y'all, which is a weird one, but I made it when I was 16 and I just refused to change it because Tim Chadwick music just seems kind of like sterile to me or something. So Tim y'all, said like a cowboy. Same for Twitter, same for TikTok, and yeah, and then all my merch store is on there and stuff like that, so people can find it there.
Absolutely. Well, sir, it's been a fucking pleasure. I don't know why I went with that.
Thank you.
No,
Yeah,
honestly,
that's nice.
like, I really appreciate it. Anybody that takes time to, sit down and have a wee bit chat with me, especially on a Friday when everybody's been like, we need to go, we need to do stuff. It's honestly, I've been loving your stuff, and especially the EP, I've just been gagging over. So, like, to
thank
sit
you.
down and meet the creator, a pleasure.
Well, thank you for giving me the time to just talk about myself. So I really appreciate it.
No worries not. Well, here, have yourself a lovely afternoon, a lovely weekend, and I can't wait to see
Thank
where you
you.
go from here, honestly.
Thanks so much. Thank you.
No worries. See you later. Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning into another episode of Finnterviews. Please do remember, if you enjoyed the podcast or any of my other episodes, to give us a like, share, comment, subscribe, and a 5-star rating on whatever listening platform you're on. All of that stuff really does help. And please do make sure to also keep in touch with everything Finnterviews by following us on socials. I'm on everything from Facebook to Instagram, Twitter to TikTok. It is Finnterviews, Finnterviews Podcast, or Finnterviews Pod. So just give me a wee follow on that. And yeah, you'll never miss another episode. Until next time, thank you again for listening, and I'll chat to you later. Bye.